Welcome to another edition of On the Agenda. This is City Manager Bill Osborne, and today's program is divided into two segments. In a couple of minutes, I'll be talking with Mayor Pro Tem John Schildroth. Councilman Schildroth has decided not to seek re-election, so he will be leaving office at the end of 2011. And then we'll be talking about those candidates that we're looking at the race coming up in November. Candidates who wish to be elected so that they can take office for 2012 in the city of Douglasville. The 2011 election on November the 8th will mark an occasion of a number of major changes for the city of Douglasville government. After 12 years as mayor, 3 4-year terms, Mickey Thompson is not seeking re-election. Therefore, in January of 2012, there will be sworn in as mayor of the city of Douglasville, the first mayor and new mayor in 13 years. Candidates to succeed Mayor Thompson, and I'll list all the candidates today by alphabetical order, are Terry Miller, Harvey Persons, Rochelle Robinson, and Ron Wilson. Now, there are 3 city council races, and one result of each of these council races is that there will be a different person occupying that council seat when January arrives, because none of the 3 incumbents are seeking re-election to the city council for city council positions. In Ward 5, Post 1, Roy Mims is not seeking a 3rd term and will be leaving the city council. His successor will either be Carl Pope or Gary Warner. In Ward 5, Post 2, Terry Miller is not seeking a 2nd term and is running for mayor, and his successor will be either Gene Butler or Doug LaGuire. And in Ward 4, John Schildroth is not seeking re-election, and his successor will be either Mark Adams or John Moyes. Of course, all registered city voters can vote in the mayor's race. If you live in Wards 1, 2, or 3, you can only vote in the mayor's race, and that's because Ward 1, City Councilman Larry Yockey, Ward 2, Council Member Dennis McLean, and Ward 3, Council Members LaShawn Burr-Danley and Sam Davis are in the middle of their respective 4-year terms, and these council seats will be on the ballot in November of 2013. Thus, if you live in Ward 4, you can vote for the mayor and for one of the persons running to succeed Councilman Schildroth. If you live in Ward 5, you can vote for the mayor, and you can also vote for one of the persons running for the Post 1 position to succeed Councilman Roy Mims, and you can vote for one of the persons running for the Post 2 position to succeed Councilman Terry Miller. Now, in addition to this municipal election on November the 8th, there will be a countywide e-splosh. This referendum will determine whether a 1-cent special purpose local option sales tax for education will be continued throughout Douglas County. Now, I'll talk more about the 2011 election later in this program, but at this time it's my pleasure to welcome to On the Agenda our Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Douglasville, Councilman John Schildroth. John, it's great to have you with me today.
Thank you for inviting me, Bill. It's a pleasure to be here to talk to the citizens.
Right. Well, you were elected to the City Council in March of 2006 to complete the unexpired term of Beth Johnson, who had resigned from the City Council from personal reasons about midway through a 4-year term. Then you were re-elected in November of 2008, and thus when you leave office at the end of December, you will have served almost 6 years on the City Council. For the past 2 years, you've also been the Mayor Pro Tem, having been chosen by your colleagues on the City Council to fill this position. And of course, that means you serve as the mayor when the mayor is out of town or is sick and is not able to be presiding over the meetings. Let's start by having you comment as you wish on what it's been like to serve your community for these past 6 years as a member of the Douglasville City Council.
It's been a new experience for me, learning how government works and sometimes how slow government works, because you have so many different layers that you have to go through to get grant money or other financing to do the work of the city. I've met many people, not just in Ward 4, but throughout the city. I've been involved with the Chamber, with the Culture Arts Council, and the DDA, and different places like that. And the number of volunteers that I've run into throughout this 6 years, I did not know that we had this many people that wanted to do something for their city. But it's been a very pleasurable time working with these volunteers, and they've worked untiringly to make sure that whatever function they were involved in was a success. And I've also enjoyed working with you and the staff. The staff is very, very responsive to the needs of the city. They're very qualified.
Right. Well, John, it's been a pleasure to work with you over these past 6 years. I appreciate the comments you just made and your dedication to this community, your service to this community, and also appreciate the support that you've always given me and the staff during the time that you've been on the City Council. Now, on the City Council, you've been the chairman of the Community and Economic Development Committee, and some of the responsibilities of that committee focus on downtown Douglasville, and that includes the Main Street Program, Downtown Development Authority, Downtown Conference Center, Historic Preservation. Committee also is responsible for tourism and, of course, with our Convention and Visitors Bureau, and also responsible for economic development. And of course, in the city of Douglasville, we handle economic development both through our Department of Community and Downtown Services and the City Development Authority. And as you've mentioned, you've had work, the linkage you provide for the city with the Douglas County Cultural Arts Council and also the Douglas County Chamber of Commerce. Let's talk a little bit about the downtown area. That's I know where you have really placed a lot of work and emphasis during the 6 years that you've been on the City Council. Kind of reflect back on that for us.
Well, I remember 6 years ago when I came on the council, my first assignment, the mayor put me on the ground running to form a committee to look at the jail complex, the existing jail complex, and see what we can do and what the response of the citizens were. And we formed a committee, and the committee was very successful in the campaign, and we defeated the plan to keep the jail in downtown Douglasville. As you know, it's going to be built on the old trailer park property on Fairburn Road. It's under construction right now, and you can see it going up. That opens up a lot of other avenues for what we're doing in downtown. The next thing we worked on was a master plan for downtown, and with the Sizemore Group, we had some citizens involved in that. Again, volunteers offering their support or their comments about what they would like to see downtown Douglasville. And a lot of ideas came out of that, and the Sizemore Group came back with a master plan. Of course, the economy has kind of stepped in our way there, and we haven't been able to do anything about that master plan at this time, but it's there and we can use it, and it's a good plan.
Right.
And with 92 relocation, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for economic growth in downtown. Culture Arts Center, I worked with Laura Lieberman over there. I'm the city liaison to the Culture Arts Center, and there's a lot of good things that have come out of the Culture Arts Center, different programs, and with the city's support and the county's support of this, it functions.
Now, one other thing in the downtown area that you certainly have worked on, and I know that you and Mayor Thompson, as you both look at leaving office at the end of the calendar year, are excited about that we now are getting underway with construction of the new conference center in the downtown area. Tell us about that.
Well, it's been a work in progress for a few years, and part of that came out of the master plan, but our first endeavor was to add to the existing conference center. We were going to put a second story on, but when everybody looked at it, the architect and the contractors looked at it and came up with a price, it was more feasible to build a brand-new building across the way with a parking deck for almost 300 cars at about the same amount of money. Plus the fact that this structure on the old existing conference center probably may not have held up the second floor. There was some question about that. So we looked at the other options, and as you know, the conference center is supported by the hotel motel tax.
Right.
And it's not going to cost the citizens of Douglasville one penny. But we're going to have a facility downtown that will be able to draw people from downtown Atlanta, from the airport, the proximity to the airport. And we've got a lot of hotel space here, and we can fill those beds with heads right here in Douglasville, rather than them going in and fighting all that traffic, hour and 35 minutes to go from the airport up to downtown sometimes. But they can be out here, and with the people staying in the hotels, that just is a continuous circle, that money that they're paying and the taxes they're paying for their hotel bed helps support the conference center.
Right. And of course, the conference center that is getting under construction, and you mentioned the 300-car parking garage, which we expect to see completed sometime next spring. And we do have a temporary parking plan that will operate between now and then. And there have been a couple of other city TV programs to talk about the conference center and the parking, but certainly a very important piece for the future of downtown. And we expect the current conference center and the new conference center working in tandem, meeting the local needs. And as you say, with our strategic location in the metro area, that this offers even an amenity that we can talk about for visitors who would come and maybe stay in our hotels. And I know you've been very much involved with our CVB advisory board and the work that it does to maximize the promotion of Douglasville for people who are coming perhaps to do things locally, or locally meaning the Atlanta area.
There again, going back to the new conference center, that's going to open up more avenues for more business to come downtown.
Right.
Hopefully this economy turns around shortly, because I'd like to see this happen within the next 4 to 5 years, that we start growing downtown and getting people to have a walkable downtown. The different lightings that we put up and everything else, it's comfortable to walk downtown.
Right.
But we need attractions here to make this a point of interest to come to, a destination point.
Right. Well, John, of course, you've been a very active member of the City Council in addition to what we've been talking about, community and economic development. You also currently are serving as Vice Chairman of the Maintenance and Sanitation Committee and the Information Technology Committee. And as I mentioned, you're the Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Douglasville. Share with us, though, some thoughts that you have as you look ahead to December. Is not that far away when you will be leaving the City Council.
Hopefully, I'll leave the city government with the government and the city being in better shape than when I came. One good thing we inherited when I came on, a city council that they were very conservative, good stewards of the taxpayers' money. We didn't spend it on something just to be spending money. My experience I had in the business world prior helped me to understand more about the budgeting process, because I was responsible for budgeting and my expenses and everything else. So I knew that I had to live within the budget, and that's one thing that I really appreciate about the way you manage the city, that you keep us focused on that point.
Right. Well, you mentioned the business side that you came from. Let's talk a little bit about the personal side of John Schildroth. You gave me a fact sheet as I had requested you to, and so it said that you were born in Alton, Illinois, in January 1939, one of 8 children. You attended Southern Illinois University, majored in marketing. I know you enjoy golf. I know you're in love with the Alabama Crimson Tide. Tell us about your career and your family, if you would.
Well, I'm married to my lovely wife of 47 years. I met her in a grocery store, and she was shopping, and anyway, we got together and didn't get married right away because she was a lot younger than me. When I found out how old she was, I said, well, we've got to put this on hold. But we finally got together when I was in service. I was in the Navy for 4 years, stationed on a submarine repair facility at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, and then in San Diego. But it was kind of a hard first few years of marriage because I was in the service, she was in Illinois, and the telephone, from Hawaii, it cost me $13 for 3 minutes. It took me longer to put the money in the payphone than it did to talk. So I really appreciate her staying by me. She's the mother of my 2 children, Jennifer Roberts. She married to Derek Roberts. She has 3 children. Her oldest daughter is going to be a mother in February, so I'm going to be a great-grandfather.
Great.
And that's the first one, and I really look forward to that. It's going to be a little girl. And then Jason, he lives both of my kids live right here in Douglasville area, and Jason works for Manhattan Associates. He's a project manager type and with a logistics company. He has 3 children. Logan is our oldest grandson by him. He's 10, and he plays hockey,
Okay.
ice hockey. And then we lost a granddaughter, Sarah, about 8 years ago, 2003. She was only 2 months old, and we miss Sarah. But we have Hannah. Our Hannah's 10 and a half months old, and she's an Alabama cheerleader. And so my working career, I spent 50 years in the grocery business. And I started when I was 13, just in a little independent store, stocking a few shelves, carrying out some groceries, stuff like that in the summertime. And then when I went back to school that fall, he asked me if I could work before and after school. Well, before the school bus came, I'd go work at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'd put the produce out on the rack because we had to take it off the rack. We didn't have refrigeration.
Right.
That's how far back I go. And I'd trim it and everything else in the morning, and in the evening we'd take it off the rack and put it in the cooler again. So, but that was fun. And
Right.
Most of my career has been in the produce side of the grocery business. I did spend some time with Kroger that I wasn't in produce, but I spent 17 years with Kroger, and the rest of my career was with Super Value, a wholesale grocery company.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoyed it. I really, but when they wanted me to go to Minneapolis, Minnesota, I said, it's time to retire.
Right.
It's just a little too cold for me.
Well, give us a quick report on the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Well, the Alabama Crimson Tide are 4-0. And I was there last week when they whooped up on Arkansas.
Right.
And really, I'm an Alabama fan. I was an Alabama fan before I came south, and I'm from Illinois. Because back in those days, SEC football was about it. I mean, there wasn't a lot that you saw about Midwestern football at that time. It was mostly, you'd see Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi in those days back in the 50s.
Right.
And since I moved to Georgia 27 years. Gee, many Christmas, it's been a long time. I've still maintained being for Alabama, but I'll root for Georgia if they're not playing Alabama.
Well, I appreciate that. John, you and I both believe in the power of prayer, and I know a lot of people watching this program share with us the belief that the Lord is in control. Tell us what's gone on with you in recent months, your decision not to run for another term, and the recent visit to your doctor.
Well, about a year ago, I had a little episode when I came home from city council on a little upset stomach, I thought. And so I took a couple of Tums and went to bed. Well, in the middle of the night, I woke up and I was deathly ill. I mean, I threw up some blood. And I was sweating, and my wife, who was a retired registered nurse, I forgot to add that a while ago, but she immediately called 911, and they took me to the hospital. They thought maybe it was the heart, and because I have 6 stents from the last one being in 2005, but I've never had a heart attack. And so we got there, they checked and cleared out the heart and said it was okay, but they wanted to do a scope of the esophagus, and they found that I had cancer. Well, I went through the treatments, started actually right after the first of the year, and with the treatments, the radiation and chemo, and May 2nd, they said I was cancer-free. Well, that didn't last very long, 3 to 4 months, and I just had to go to the doctor the other day and to have my esophagus stretched because I was having a little trouble swallowing. And she found that she took some biopsies. It was irregular, she said, and she found that I had, the cancer had returned. One thing about both of these little incidents, the good Lord was watching after me. I have never been sick or had any illness that they would detect anything like this without him showing that way, because I haven't been sick since, except about the 3rd week of chemo. Right. I got very, very exhausted easily. I quit eating. I quit eating for 5 weeks. As far as solid foods, I had a tube that they fed me through. And my wife was there at my side all the way. Thank the Lord for her. But since they told me I was in good shape, well, I've been eating anything I want to, and I've gotten about half the weight I lost. I lost about 40 pounds up front, but I've gained over half of that back. So now with this new incident of the reoccurrence of the cancer, my strength is back. My faith is not failing me. I still have faith in God. It's like I told the radiation technician up in Hiram when she was doing the radiation. I said, you got to have faith. I said, you got to have faith that that machine is doing what it's designed to do. That you as a technician are doing what you're supposed to do and directing that where it's supposed to go. And most of all, you've got to have faith that the good Lord above is the one that designed it, and he's got a purpose for that machine. And she said, I had never thought of it that way. I said, well, when you're laying here, I said, you think about it. And we all should be thinking about it because we're not promised tomorrow. And we should keep our faith and keep our diligence with the Lord Jesus Christ.
Right. Well, John, I know thoughts and prayers of a lot of people are for you and your family. We want to thank you for your service to this community over the past 6 years. Certainly, I want to thank you for your support and your friendship, and wish you and your family the very best in the months ahead, and may God bless you. Always give my guests an opportunity for one final word. Any final word for us today?
I want to thank the citizens of the city of Douglasville, and especially those in Ward 4 who elected me to serve as their representative to the city council. I have enjoyed the 6 years that I've been on the council. It hasn't always been rosy, hasn't always been easy, but one thing about being on city council, you work with people and take those ideas from several different ways. The leadership that you've given, the mayor, and even some from other members of the city council. We may not always agree on what we're supposed to do or what is being offered out, but eventually we come to a consensus that whatever's best for the city of Douglasville, right. And I've enjoyed that.
Right. John, thank you for being with me today.
Thank you.
To you, the viewers, if you will stay tuned, I'll be back in a minute and we'll talk some more about the 2011 elections. I want to provide some information to you, the voters, concerning what will take place for the 2011 election. And I'm not going to be talking about specific candidates or even the issues in the East Splash, but I want to provide some logistical information which hopefully will make your life easier as you look at voting this fall. Now, I want to start by talking about early voting by absentee ballots, and also advance voting. Now, for convenience, early voting by absentee ballot can be done by going to the voter registrar's office located on the ground floor of the Douglas County Courthouse on Hospital Drive. This will begin on Tuesday, October the 18th, and will go through Friday, October the 28th. Office will be open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then advance voting will be possible, same hours, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, for that next week, namely Monday, October the 31st, through Friday, November the 4th. Now, if you are a registered city voter, you can vote in both the city election and the East Splash referendum at the Douglas County Registrar's Office on the dates that I've just announced. And we're showing that information on the screen even as I'm speaking. That if you have questions about where to vote, if you would call the Douglas County Registrar's Office at 770-920-7213, or call the City Clerk's Office, Joy Stone, at City Hall at 678-715-6015. And we're showing that information on the screen. You also can find that information on your voter registration card. Just look at your voter registration card. You also can email the county, and we're showing that email address on your screen even as I'm speaking, or you can email City Clerk Joy Stone at stonej@ci.douglasville.ga.us. Now remember, on Election Day, Tuesday, November 8th, polling places will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. I want to thank you for joining me today for this edition of On the Agenda. This is City Manager Bill Osborne signing off, and don't forget to exercise your right to vote this fall. Thank you, and good day.